Old Man River. That seems far too austere a name for something made of mirth and rage. Oh, roiling red blood river vein, if chief among your traits is age, you're a wily, convoluted sage. Is old the thing to call what rings the vernal heart of Wester lore? It brings us brassy, myth-made kings. And preponderance of bug-type things. To challenge titans come before! Oh, demiurge to a try at Avalon once more. And what august vitality in your wide aorta stream. You must have had to oversee alchemic change of timber beam to iron, brick, and engine steam. Your umber whiskey waters lends the prideful, sober sovereignty of faulty haloed temperance and wilt her self-sure countenance. Yes, righteousness is vanity. But sports for imps, not elderly. So, if there's a name for migrant mass of veteran frivolity that snakes through seas of prairie grass and groves of summer sassafras, a name that flows as roguishly as wild waters, fast and free. It's your true name. Mississippi.
Hey everybody, this is Cosmic Kitsuname. And I'm here with...
My name is Craig, a well-rounded dungeon master for various games. Just give me the genre, I can run it. Purveyor of cartoons and comics and all kinds of fun and games that people escape to when life is just a little too rough. What you want to talk about, my friend?
And I'm happy to have you here. I wanted to talk about a comic series that I've been reading and now have watched the pilot of, as well as shorts here and there. Lackadaisy. And I have to admit, the thing that drew me in was the art style and the use of grays and dark colors, and for the most part I like the overall theme, vibe, and time period of just the world that it's in. I find it quite inspirational, and I think the creator has a very good attention to detail. And we were talking about this before we even started, folks. I strongly suggest you check it out. Now, I've been buying the big, comic books of it, and so far I'm all caught up. The second one they're releasing as well. But the pilot and animation really, it's really on point. What did you think of the colors used and the designs?
The sepia tones complemented everything beautifully. Just there's color when it's important to be color, sort of to more capture the emotion of the situation. You notice it's more sort of faded out, more sepia tone when it's a memory, but then as it comes forward to more present time, well, present within its own time frame, you notice colors and everything lines become sharper. A very nice play on the whole seeing things in the form of memory. Attention to detail, chef's kiss. I've been to very old houses in the past that had stuff from various time frames, and yeah, the everything from the wallpaper to the furniture to the gramophone in the corner and everything in between. Like I say, attention to detail is par excellence.
And yeah, I mean, I really like seeing stuff like this. Gives me a good amount of hope for future content, and even inspires me to keep writing and working on what I'm working on. But yeah, the characters is really what kept me there as well as the lore. I had no idea how lore heavy Lackadaisy was. Because they kind of drop you off in there, and then when you learn about the characters and their past, you're like, wow, they had some really
Oh,
messed up backgrounds.
yeah, you're kind of dropped in media res, right in the middle of things, and just like you learn as the series goes on, again through memories and flashbacks and whatnot. Various little stories within her little universe. Again, well written, exceedingly well written. I will give her the 2 thumbs up on basically continuity.
Yeah, and I could tell this person either really did their research or they were around people that were like that, because the voice acting was pretty spot on. I will give it that. I mean, could have been a little better in some areas, but overall I will give it that. I think the country kind of vibe could have been a little slightly better, but it's good. I mean, for those of you that are wondering, I do voiceover as well. I normally do, you know, southern accents. You can find me on Casting Call Club, and a lot of our uncut, you know, videos when we do these live talks and stuff are also on Rumble. The stuff that I normally have a problem putting up here, and we're just hoping that I can at least put up enough stuff here to talk about this Lackadaisy thing, or else it will also be on Rumble along with the rest of the anime reviews and live talks, which are all there. This is a bit of a, I guess, kind of a combo or fusion of the two, because there's a lot of stuff in Lackadaisy that matches real life. And when I was watching Lackadaisy, especially the pilot and then the other episode after, it really, I just got like that warm feeling, because it really hit that nostalgia marker for me, especially when you see like Kid Ivy and her interaction with Mordecai, Victor, and everybody. It reminded me of when I was a kid and I hang around some of members of my own family, especially, you know, the men in my family. You couldn't just walk up to them and 2020 them. They would shut that down so quickly. it they just didn't come from that time period, and I think a lot of people in modern day have a problem understanding like the vagueness. The vagueness wasn't really due necessarily to being shady. It's just they were raised to mind the P's and Q's. Don't start them, won't be nothing kind of thing, because they already got enough trouble and enough crap to deal with, that they didn't like extra. At least that's what I remember. They weren't the type to go and do extra. That the
Children would be
unnecessary.
not heard was the very old worldview. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
look, your kid, go play. Go play. You know, don't bother us adults because we're doing adult things. And children were basically to be children. Though, admittedly, part of children is like asking questions and watching what adults are doing and whatnot. Though, admittedly, you know, I learned the hard way that if you stick around and ask too many questions, you know, since you're all curious, you can help us with chores, you know. I discovered what it was to shovel up barn stall and help feed the cows and picking up bales at an early age. Trust me, when I discovered what picking rocks in a field was, I vowed never ever to do that shit again.
Hell. Yeah, I mean, that was just the thing. I mean, that whole scene reminded me just a moment of my childhood, and then I will definitely probably play that at the probably the end of the video, assuming I can put it up there. But yeah, Ivy was definitely a character that I want to talk about, because she manages to have this happy outlook on life, despite the fact that she spent a good portion kind of unknowingly, you know, knowing what was going on. But once she figured out what was going on, okay, got it. they were surprised at how she took to the situation so quickly. Okay, I got it. I guess you guys are doing this now. Okay, cool. Got a quarter.
Yeah. And now who's the gangster? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We can call it Sunset Rose Cocktail.
Sunset Rose Cocktail? That sounds good. You have no idea what I went through to get this.
I have very good an idea.
Mmm, sophisticated flavor.
She just
Great. This was precocious.
she just readily accepted that, and I just started laughing. I mean, when she gets older, she takes more responsibilities for the family, but she still gives off this air that she really shouldn't be there. I mean, she just is not a good fit, but that's what makes it so funny.
Yeah.
Because her father and grandfather were more of a fit than she will ever be, which is interesting to me.
She's trying to keep everyone kind of sane, in truth. I mean, she talks to Rocky, who's, I don't know what's going on with that boy, and her friend Freckle. You know, it's just, she just tries to keep everyone together, and you know, it's not much of a family, but it's still a family. So she has accepted them as, you know, part and parcel to, you know, the architecture of her heart, and you know, she's gonna try to keep the house in order, so to speak.
Yeah, almost like a, you know, prequel to being a den mother or something like that. I mean, she at least tries to and I think her and Freckle might be a thing. I mean, it's kind of hinted at that they may be a thing as the series, you know, goes on, and you know, Freckle's kind of interesting too, because he's also kind of in the same position she's in. They're both kind of, under normal circumstances, she probably would have been like a secretary, and he'd probably been a cop if their lives hadn't been so like odd. So it's funny that
out of
they
joint.
both. That's what's so funny about their partner. Having them being partnered together was just so funny when you think about it, and I just couldn't stop laughing about that. But Freckle has his moments where he goes from like just calm, and then like when the situation gets heated, the dude took out a damn Tommy gun.
Yes.
I started
and with a big
laughing.
smile. Yes, he is happy to see you.
Now we need a performance from you, Torpedo Boy.
Oh, no.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
Don't be modest. Play us a symphony.
No! What's going on back there?
All right, what the?
I guess this one is the big.
Oh, no, stay with me.
Had no problem just whipping that out, man. Just, you know, but yeah, them getting that alcohol out of that coffin was weird to me, by the way. You know, just grave robbing for alcohol. I mean, that part I didn't understand. How they even knew it was there. Maybe somebody hid it there. I mean, just.
Yep, that was a common thing. I mean, you know, big long boxes going down, and there's a headstone and some people, you know, just burying it. No one really questions what's going on. It's a long 6 foot long. It's a 6 foot long box. What's in that box? We're in a graveyard. What's in it? No one ever asks that.
I mean, that was their job and everything. The car got totaled. and then they had another rival, you know, gang at them and everything. And so I imagine when I guess her grandfather, like, at least I believe it's what it is. When Atlas kicked the bucket, everything kind of fell apart. If he didn't kick the bucket, none of them battles would be happening. But with him no longer in the picture, that's how that kind of took off. And
Consider he was the head of whatever organization that was keeping Lackadaisy in order, keeping their books and business and connections in order. The fact that it was a violent death, I'm banking on assassination myself, given the time frame. We're talking Prohibition days. You want some bloody headlines? Look up some of the mobster shootings and just look at the front lines. I mean, they weren't afraid to take pictures of whatever crime scene, you know, bodies and blood spatters everywhere. They were not afraid of that back in the day. That sold papers. So I can only imagine how what condition Atlas must have been in, considering this is at the height of Prohibition. You know,
not to mention, you know, when you look at Atlas's character, he didn't even say any kind of flashback you see him in. He says very little or nothing, and it's just his.
so. Mm-hmm.
He gives off that vibe. I mean, I just pretty much assumed he was Silent Generation at that point because a lot of them were very no nonsense. They didn't give a shit how old you were. You could be like 25 and they could be 40, 50. You were still that kid. You still subject to getting popped.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so
Exactly.
when Pepper, or I guess I think that might have been Ivy's dad, I believe. Ruben, Ruby or Ruben, something like that, or her parent or guardian. But yeah, I mean, at first Atlas gives a serious look and then he hugs him and everything. But yeah, you could tell that he's one of those old school family man kind of guys. But Atlas definitely gave off the air of no nonsense, like don't play with me, don't joke with me, don't play with me.
Atlas, I think, is more the godfather. You know, the Ruben was definitely her dad. But
yeah,
the godfather.
So, you know, Ruben, he was Ivy's dad. He was more happy. So I mean, you could tell Atlas gave his kids a good life. That's why they have a more happier outlook on it, as opposed to him. He's just kind of like, this dude's just straight up stone face, and so that like says 1,000 words in itself. I mean, back then people didn't have to do all this yelling and stuff. You knew what somebody was about based on the way they carried themselves. You knew what they were about. They didn't have to like pose or fake that, because you can't fake ambition. I mean, they didn't have to do any of that stuff because that's the general vibe, and that's really all we really know about Atlas until the comic of the show tells us more. But I wanted to start with talking about him because he's kind of the catalyst for why everything happens afterwards. Like, his passing is what sparked a lot of stuff, along with the Prohibition, you know, age and everything. And so that gets us started off, and then we go to, I believe, Mitzi, who was wife.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
she also still holds a level of, you know, power in the family, and so she kind of kept his dream alive afterwards best she could. But
the aging flapper.
yeah.
You could see where she was. I view her more as she would have been the equivalent of a trophy wife, but then having like, here, hold this gigantic responsibility now that your husband is gone. And it's like, you know, realizing, I think she's starting to realize just the weight that was on his shoulders.
Yeah, because she had to take more hands to make up, you know, for the lack of that. She even found a new dude, I forget his name, that she was seeing, because I mean, she had to find somebody, because even though that guy is more of a like accountant or something akin to one that's just, she can't do that by herself, and not to mention her being single makes the family look weaker. And this is something that a lot of people, especially modern people, don't understand. It doesn't matter how smart or how strong you are. In Mitzi's position, I fully understand why she would look for somebody new and why she either went back to a maiden name or whatever. Because she acknowledged that it doesn't matter that she only took, like Rocky and a handful of the rest of them. By value of her not having someone, that makes the family look weaker. Like anybody can go in there and just pop anything off. So that her being with that guy, kind of, despite him being kind of weak as she is, it deters people from wanting to do that. And I think people often forget about this, and we live in a, I'm gonna just say it, we live in a very weird age where the role of a father is like often mocked and diminished, but that person is a de facto protector of the family, whether you like it or not, even if that person
Right.
is just there for show.
Lick? What are you doing?
Uh,
Raiding the pantry? If you're that hungry, I could make you something.
oh, no need. I thought I'd help myself to an early breakfast of, baking soda and tomato paste.
Interesting taste.
Actually, I was just clearing the shrapnel out of the way here. Watch out for the floor olives, they're treacherous.
Oh, thanks. And moreover, thank you. Victor's one of the few vestiges I have left from... Well, I couldn't really do without him. I will pay you back.
My pleasure, really. How is he anyway?
Oh, supine and bloody, but he seemed to be enjoying whatever he was hallucinating about.
Huh. Sounds rather serious. What happened exactly? Okay, right, I'm catching on. The fewer questions, the better.
Sedgwick, you're a very nice man, extraordinarily so. And I would hate to...
Mitzi? You trailed off a bit and just...
Sorry, I do that sometimes.
What? Trail off or pounce on the unwary?
Both, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Olives.
No one saw that. Mitzi.
Someone who breaks into the house was demanded by all to defend the wife and the children. It's the father, it is the husband, it is the man of the house. Though admittedly, it would be nice to have a woman who is willing to rack a shotgun with me and hold off the bandits.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Atlas fulfilled that role perfectly. His mere presence deterred people from wanting to do anything. And so, when she lost him, you can understand her depression. You know, she lost someone she really loved, but at the same time, that's when people started messing with the family. Because, you know, she's off, she's a widow, she's off by herself. Man, her strength be damned at that point. It makes, like, it gives people an incentive to want to go off in there and do some off-the-cuff disrespectful stuff because they feel like no consequence is going to come their way. So...
Yeah, never mind the big tiger guy behind the bar, never mind who she's got working. Yeah. They view them only as hired help. And hired help, if they are just quote-unquote hired help, they're not going to risk their lives for everyone. But a family is a much tougher structure to break.
And this is why,
and people come out of the shadows when you mess with a family.
And it's the thing, and this is why I hate this like anti-family sentiment that's often taken in, like, in modern day and times. I mean, there've been times I've gotten shamed for being close to my own parents, close to my own family. Oh, I bet you call them all the time. Yeah, I call them quite frequently. I bet you and your cousin. Yeah, we used to hang out all the time. Used to be quite inseparable. I mean, it's often kind of weird when I meet people that try to make me feel embarrassed about that, because that's normal to all of us. we grew up in that time period. And when I see these people that are like supposedly extremely anti-family, I'm just gonna be honest with you. They're the most miserable people I have ever seen in my entire life. They're the angriest, they're the most miserable. And if they see you
Just do.
got it like that, they angry. They stay angry and they want to try to destroy that. I've had to as I've gotten older, I've essentially had to take the role of protector of my family. There have been times I've had to shut shit down before it even, like from both, like gender be damned. There have been times I've had to shut things down because people will invite some outside entity up in there and try to come in my house and tell me how things are gonna go. And let's just say that hasn't
Mm,
turned out well for anybody as of late because
raised
I
voice,
can be
hurt feeling.
well, that's the thing. Like I can be quite charming, even passive when the situation doesn't call for it. But if the situation calls for some Rocky level shit, I don't mind. Unfortunately, they
Mm.
happen to be the person I relate to the most. I mean, granted, the only difference is I'm at the very least I'm able to keep my shit at bay. Where he just kind of he'll be cool until once the situation's gone full bar or full throttle. This dude is up here. I mean, you remember he was throwing sticks of dynamite or something? Like what the?
Riding the bucket of a scoop loader, which had been, jerry rigged to just run in a straight line, and singing and dancing and yeah, chucking the dynamite everywhere.
Yeah, I thought that was
Right,
funny as hell. I mean,
right up until he
Rocky.
rolled a one and fumbled that last one.
Because Rocky cares about his family. He may not be the strongest person, but he cares about his family. And I've actually been trying to, kind of caution people. Like, be very careful when you mess with old school families. Hell, be very careful when you travel abroad because that's not a funny thing for them. That's a very serious thing for them. In fact, I've had people try to make weirdo comments about my family and even try to smile about it. I mean, I had to cut one friend off practically because they thought it was funny. I was venting
Mm.
about something that did affect me, and I rarely ever go like that. But then they took that opportunity to try to air quote stand up to me. So you didn't stand up at any point in time when any of this bad stuff would happen, but after the fact, now you want to stand up and be like, oh, And I caution people about that. It doesn't matter how many weight you lift, how tough you think you are. Don't try to go up against the whole family. Not a good idea.
Wick, I found your tie iron! Whoa! Thank you. You're awfully jumpy, Wick. I drink a lot of coffee. Is there something I can help you with, Rocky? Oh no, I'm here to help you, Wick. You seem like a well-intentioned sort. Last night's white night, right? Haha. So I thought it'd be only right to warn you. You're wandering into deadly territory. Mitzi's a dangerous lady, Wick. I have it from a good source that she's a bear trap. What? Yeah, in a bunny box, see? No, what does that mean? Maybe you should ask her husband, Wick. Oh, wait! You can't! He's dead! QED! Are you trying to sell me on those nonsensical rumors that she murdered her husband? I've known her for a while, Rocky. Whether out of class or kindness, she wouldn't harm a fly. Well, she wouldn't have to. Not directly. Not when she's got a certain faithful operative at her disposal. What are you insinuating? What? You mean you? Oh, right. You're quite the joker, Rocky. Well, I best be off, Wick. Time to go risk my neck procuring some quality intoxicants for you to drown in. See you soon. Have fun, old sport.
It's just, it's just crazy. I had to stand up to people. When I was younger, I had to stand up to people bigger than me. Because, I'd be very on point about that. Because I don't care if people talk shit about me, but if they, start including family. Yeah, that get a little personal. Yeah, but you were talking shit about. Yeah, I can do that. I'm allowed to do that. I have the privilege to do that.
Exactly. They're your family to talk shit about and no one else's.
And people
Don't
have somehow
let
kind of lost that,
unless your family members, unless one of your family members, directly wronged me, I would not talk shit about your family members.
And well,
But
that's the
then,
thing. That's the way we were raised, we always kept things on an individual basis. If I had a problem with someone from your family, it would just be that one person, not the whole freaking clan, for God's sake. It's just people people talk about individualism, but then they keep functioning on some collective crap. I mean, people want to act like they got a problem with everybody when it's really just one or two people. I say address the elephant in the room, cut the head off the viper, and just be done with it. And if there's no resolution, then fine, F it. You know, I go on about my business or whatever, but I do call people out for their manners. We used to give elderly, deference. We used to
Mm-hmm.
revere them when we were growing up because they would actually go out of their way to help us. But now we have elderly that are competing with people, and it's really disheartening to see that. I see the young generation, the old generation weirdly competing with one another, and
Mm-hmm.
it's messed up because you expect the older person to be like sage-like almost, or at least be willing to kind of help you. But no, we got people so worried, and in their defense, sometimes they do have legitimate reason to worry. But if you 50, 60, 70 years old or something, you've lived your life building up what you have, why would you be worried about someone that doesn't have that knowledge, or doesn't have that know-how, overtaking you in the span of 2 years or something, when you supposedly have a lifetime of experience? Like, that's what
Depends on,
never made sense to me.
yeah, I mean, to me, as far as like anything in competition goes, something me and my late brother used to do is, we loved painting like miniatures. And win, lose, or draw, I loved going to various competitions. And to me, it was the competition I loved more than just any prizes or taking, because if I saw someone who had a superior technique, I would try to talk to them and learn how they did. How did you do that weathering? How did you do that highlight? To me, that's why I was there. If someone's better than me, then by God, that means I just got to step my game up. And that's how I always viewed competition. If someone beat me honestly and not through favoritism or tomfoolery, so be it. If it's clear that their stuff is better than mine, then my hat's off to a superior technique or whatever. Now, as far as I am okay. I'm going to admit something here. I'm a little bit jealous of this person's, the artist of Lackadaisy, their sense of color. I'm missing kind of chunks of color in my brain spectra. It's like me and the color indigo don't really work well, and I can see shades of red really good, but my spectra is screwed up something fierce. I like the artist put together of their world. Just the way they put everything together. So that's what indigo looks like. Still looks like.
Same. I wish I knew, like, many artists like that could do that type of work. I mean, it's good just the act of knowing somebody like that is really cool. They have a very good attention to detail, and I would just love to sit down and have a conversation with the creative Lackadaisy. I mean, just to have just the conversation alone to me would be worth its weight in saffron. Just I mean, I would be very interested to hear about that person's life and like what type of personal experiences were also unbeknownst like to the reader included in the series. So this is definitely something that I've bought books of, even donated a bit to, because I want to see that project flourish and continue. I love the energy that Lackadaisy brings with it. It's something definitely old but new, and even though they're drawing a lot from the past, I think it's very needed, especially in these this time and age and everything. And speaking of which,
There were only a couple of minor things, and they were so very minor. I mean, that I had issue with like episode 1. When they had Ivy trying to start the car with the crank start. Okay. That shit was dangerous. And people have actually like had broken their arms on that stuff. It's like you turn the crank until you feel just like the gentlest of catch. And then what you do is you have to basically give it a whip, throw your weight behind it, but you let go because when the pistons fire, the crank suddenly spins the other way. We're talking full kick power of the engine horsepower, turning the crank the other way. You do not want to be holding onto it.
that's the funny thing about it. I mean, you could tell that car was a classic, probably worth a lot of money nowadays. But yeah, I mean, a person could have very.
Here the girl's trying to It's like I'm sorry. The other thing I think is like hearing the car go boom and like her screaming, holding like broken knuckles because her hand got slammed against the ground. My dad, his older siblings owned a couple of vehicles like that back in the day, and he was telling me you had to be really careful. The same with the old where you had to spin the propeller on the plane to kick the engine. They had people lose fingertips because when you threw that propeller in one direction, it compresses the pistons and it fires, and then the propeller turns the other way. It's like trying to pop the clutch, you're pushing the car backwards until the engine fires, and then it suddenly rushes forward. Kind of putting it kind of like that. It was just the way, it was the nature of the beast back in the day. That's why, but again, everything else is fine. She paid attention to, the Cajun Chicks BAR, the Sports Stories BAR, the fact that it had a clip, not a clip, a magazine, and not a clip. Yeah, that's why she could do the fire that she was doing with it. Of course, when you sports tourize a rifle like that, you're missing the front sight, so at best it's just kind of fire from the hip.
That's what I thought was really cool. They did a lot of homework on the weaponry, and speaking of which, I believe their names was Nicodeme, and that other name is really messing with me. That Seth.
Like Seraphim.
I've never met anyone named Nicodeme or Seraphina. It's almost like they will say Aquafina or something, but yeah, I will give them credit for getting the Cajun Creole kind of accent. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was good for what it was. If anything, I will definitely like give it that. And later we find out, I mean, Nicodeme was a boxer.
Seraphine, yep.
Yeah,
look at my notes here. Seraphine Savoy. And her brother Nicodeme.
That's an interesting name, and especially when you think about what the names mean, because in Lackadaisy, like, the names do weirdly parallel a couple of things about the characters as well. But so I mean, she really did think about everything in regards to that. Somebody really knew their history. It'd be even better if she was like raised around people like that. And so I really like that, which brings me to another character. I mean, for example, as much as I like Rocky, I love how Rocky protects the family in his own way, and he being similar to one of the, like, just under one of the OG members and everything. His zaniness is very much needed, and I like how he was warning the new guy that she's a bunny buck. We will low key. Our vagueness is pretty funny. We will low key warn people when they're about to cross the line, and whether they actually take the hint or not is up to them. But we'll be friendly enough to warn people about that. He was warning this guy, don't don't screw around. You know, you might get
Do
something.
not break our hearts. We will take it personally. She said, we will make you shed the same number of droplets of blood as teardrops that she sheds.
And that was the thing, you know, that little, you know, wake up call was funny as hell, and so I had to laugh at that, but I also kind of like have a profound, much as I like Atlas, I can say I had a grandfather that was a lot like Atlas, but Victor honestly reminds me of my dad like a lot growing up. He yeah, Victor just has that, like, he can be friendly, but only if he know you like that. Like, he's friendly in general, but you really got to get to know him. If you go in there based off of appearances, you ain't gonna have a good time. And for those you wondering, this isn't really a flex, but I come from a lot of people who either farmed or joined the military, and if they didn't do that, they went medical field or, you know, engineering or something, civic engineer or something like that. And so because I had so many military in my family, people ask me why I'm quiet. I don't really like getting mad. And contrary to popular belief, like, my dad wasn't just, you know, a Vietnam veteran. He was a drill sergeant. So because, like, you know, I can't stress this enough. If people are gonna get up in somebody's face, just be willing to fight. Because I mean, for me, like, when someone gets in my face, I'm not really scared, I'm just confused. Maybe I made a bad joke, maybe I said something inappropriate. Them punching me is so far off the fear factor that I don't even care because I've been punched before. It doesn't. I mean, I had someone give me a death threat for just saying Happy New Year, and it's this weird level of disrespect that comes out of nowhere. I mean, I try to diffuse stuff at the very least, because, like, you know, like Rocky, once I get into something, I'm into it, and it's very hard to turn that off. Like, if I'm talking shit, like just making jokes or whatever, and someone has done something to elevate that, like enzymes, you know, I'll keep going until, like, I finally burn out or crash out or something. Just, and we don't really. I don't think I know any man in my family gives a shit about getting punched. I mean, 9 times out of 10 they've been in fights before, and a lot of my military, most people wouldn't really know it because they're not that walking stereotype. A lot of them are actually pretty quiet and quite, you know, pleasant for that because they've got a lot of that out of their system, or they find hobbies and stuff like that. So I immediately knew Victor probably fought on the actual battlefield front line. He has that kind of mentality. He has that whole persona of that.
Well, I guess it's just you and me, Victor. Your beloved protege is in need of your advice again. That is, I'm hoping you can point me in the direction of some superior spiritus frumenti. You know, the ambitious stuff you and your scary, spectacled friend knew how to get back in the day. Victor? No? I knew it. I should have brought flowers or upside-down apology cake or something. What's the traditional way to say sorry for that hole in your chest? Pie? I bet it's pie. That seems right. Everyone likes pie. Everyone but the Bolsheviks. Feel free to share if anything comes to mind. A tip, or a hint, or... Victor? Vinegar? Victor? Is anyone in there?
You are dangerous.
You're ironic.
No good helping you.
No? Okay. It's a gamble, I'll admit. But there's little to be lost from where I sit. Unless you're anxious to see our Lackadaisy pass into memory, so you can sooner consign yourself here to the, gallery of paisley and regret. Don't get me wrong, it has its charms, but...
In defiance.
Defiance! That's the spirit! In defiance of what, exactly?
In defiance, Missouri.
He has the whole... Yeah, where he's the 1,000-yard stare when he's not busy doing something.
And the thing about it is, guys like my dad, people are the guys people sing songs about, and I'm relatively proud of that. Not proud of, you know, a war happening in the first place, but, you know, people fight to protect their families, they fight to protect what they care about. And so family, it was less about, protect the country. It was like, no, got to protect my family and like I put food on the table. So it was more about that. It don't matter who sits in the White House or something because you got your immediate family to deal with. It doesn't matter what's law or whatever is passed, because once again, family is the main focus and top priority for people like that. So anything that deviate from that, they don't want to hear it. So I knew that there was, when I was growing up, my dad never had that weird outrage. I knew that there's certain things I couldn't bring to him because unless it had anything to do with the safety and overall well-being of the people in the house, he didn't give a shit about that. The world or politics, this, who's talking about what, right, left, whatever. He didn't really give a shit about that because it had nothing to do with, whether we eat tomorrow. So that's generally what I remember. And so it kind of, warmed
It
the
kind
heart
of
to
puts me
see.
in the worldview of Sherlock Holmes. It's like, did you know that the sun is, this far away? And it's like, yes, it's a useless piece of information. How does that help me? How does that help any of us here, unless you're dealing with, distances in space? Which, it's nice to know, but it's a pointless waste of brain space. It's like, wow.
And that was kind of the thing.
Yeah, it's the kind of worldview that my dad had as well. I mean, does it help us? Does the information help us? No? Well, and then it's just information, and there you go.
And I definitely, respect the values that my dad gave to me. I due to the time period and era we in, can't utilize all of them because people get pissed off. But I have, even when I went off to college, I never changed those values. There was no form of anything that could make me change that. And to this day, I have people that get angry with me because they think that I either disagree or agree with them. And sometimes I'm just asking a question like, why do you think that? And they think that I'm trying to challenge them. Like, no, just why do you think that? Just to explain your belief to me. I had a friend explain to me what, his belief was in something. I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. He's like, so you agree? I was like, oh, no, hell no, I disagree 100%, but I respect the fact you took the time to explain it to me. I mean, it ain't changing my opinion one way or the other. It ain't changing my life, but I respect the fact you feel that way. Now I have an understanding. It ain't a contradiction when you stop to ask people why they believe what they believe. But yeah, most people don't know this, but I'm pretty old school in my own personal life. There's just things that I won't do because it was beaten into us, quite literally in some cases, not to do these things. Like no one had to teach me you don't run up in somebody's house acting like weirdly familiar and being a smartass. No one had to teach me that. Me getting in people's face in the house and shit. Just that this is often why I keep to myself, because I realize that like people like me and you and the values we have, most people nowadays don't have those values, so I'm forced to kind of keep to myself because I'm not going to change those values. And when I was younger, like Rocky, I was very open-minded about it. I still am very open-minded. What made me kind of reserved about it is due to the simple fact of how violent people are with pushing their narrative now. I've had people practically in my face want to strong arm me and tell me what I'm going to do, which I just nod, smile, and go right back to doing what I was going to do anyway. Because I genuinely don't care, and that baffles people. I'm not pretending that I don't care, folks. I genuinely don't care. My tribe is small, and unless I know somebody like that, I'm not going to be really, I'll engage in small talk, but I'm not going to be doing that, let's see if we can get teed off kind of thing. You want to ask about Joe over there, you go talk to Joe about that. I don't know enough about Joe, and even if I did, would not be so, candid to just try, throw people's stuff out there like that. And so we knew not to do that because we understood that that was a bad habit. And so every time I see Victor in the scene, I just weirdly kind of see my dad. Funny enough, because that's his whole kind of thing. He can be friendly, but he really has to warm up to you for that to even be on the table. Like, gotta decipher whether you're a threat or not. So I think that after Atlas, Victor kind of weirdly took over that position of like, I'll mess a person up swiftly, silently, and quickly if I have to.
Check the garage. Ivy, you go along too. Victor will be less likely to throttle him in your presence.
Sure.
You know how when Victor looks at you, it seems like he's searing a hole through your face? Well, I have a theory about that. By passing through that singular ocula of his, the hate energy he radiates experiences some sort of amplification, in a manner not unlike stimulated emission, as Einstein described it, resulting in a kind of highly intensified glare beam. Victor! You wouldn't believe what happened today. A bunch of yokels threw me in the back of a truck and tied me to the train tracks, and I had to use a pig to distract them and get out. Noise, 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 noise.
No.
No, but Victor, we didn't even ask a question.
I just need some help getting the car.
Could you please?
Not now. I'm busy.
I was hoping it wouldn't have to come to this, Victor.
Denise, get off!
Oh, but I bend your fingers the wrong way. How about that? I'll crush the air out of your lungs, you big ornery ox.
Okay, Devka, get off.
Okay, was that a yes? And you aren't gonna kill him, right?
Yeah, aren't going to kill him, right? Get off.
Well, he's all yours. Sometimes you have to rough him up a little bit, but really, he's a big teddy bear once you... Victor! Put the wrench down. You said you wouldn't.
Ahem. I have a bit of a dilemma, Victor. As fortune would have it, there's a pickup tomorrow night. But to the contrary, fortune-wise, it seems I'll have a gaggle of belligerent clodhoppers to contend with. And so, well, I was hoping you would have some valuable advice, or perhaps some words of inspiration for your young protege.
Quit.
Quit? I can't quit, Victor. Who would be left to bring Miss M her gin, and whiskey, and coffin varnish?
How can I help when you are so much like spaghetti noodle?
I'm like a spaghetti noodle?
Yeah, skinny, no muscle. That is why you come back looking always like you got hit by train.
Says the one-eyed man with knees that don't bend.
One of them bends, somewhat. And that's after 7 years of this work.
Well, my record for not getting hit by trains is actually pretty good. I know I've been in a lot of scrapes since I started, but I've survived them all with minimal, what was I, Hey, you wouldn't happen to know exactly where I could find a pig farm around here, would you? Somewhere by the river? No? Because I was thinking, that is, because I couldn't help but notice that oily rag in your pocket. You're practically pointing at it. How could I ignore? And, for a muse of fire.
What?
I mean, I have an idea. You want to hear my...
Get out.
Sure, getting out. Oh, thanks for your help. And for not crushing my skull with a blunt instrument.
Mm-hmm. And whatever happens, happens. So, that's what I like about Victor. But, Mordecai, on the other hand, it's weird because, it's funny, you got the bouncer slash hitman, like, kind of duo dynamic thing with those two, and seeing them together is really funny. Because, Mordecai weirdly reminds me of my mom, like in a funny way, because my mom was more don't ask me shit than my dad is. So, Mordecai has that kind of mom vibe about it. You know, she really did not like people walking up to her asking her shit. She's more like on the stay the hell away from me thing than my dad is. So my dad's actually more social. You would think it'd almost be the opposite, but with Mordecai, you know, he's the, what is he, the bookkeeper? He's the bookkeeper and, high
Bookkeeper,
hitman.
but he was also, trigger man on the side.
Yeah,
Pretty clear that he has education, and ideally someone had probably an idea for him to be. And like the old saying goes, you can take someone out of the street, but you can't take the street out of someone.
Yeah, because with Mordecai, he had the education, and something happened in his life to where he lost damn near everything, and like in a sense. And so when Atlas took him in, you know, that he learned a whole new way to be, but he still kept his professionalism. If he didn't join that family, he would have just as easily probably been a scholar of some sorts because he has his own way of doing thing. And him and Victor have this weird parenting duo thing that happens. And I remember when they had someone tied up in the back seat, and I've seen my own parents argue like that growing up. Funny enough, because like one is like, no, we should have did it this way.
Symmetry. Hey,
Yeah, symmetry.
You're the asymmetry. Yeah. Now he's crying.
Well, that was an unfortunate turn of events. Less than ideal. I mean, it was a rather disappointing affair, wouldn't you? No? Disappointing? That's not the right word. How about displeasing? I'm displeased. Distressed? Distressed and grief-stricken. Inconsolable. Probably consolable. But I did not particularly care for it, and frankly, I'm outraged. Gold-danged, dad-blamed, dad-gummit, what is it? Humdinger. What a barn burner. I'm in a tizzy. All a flutter? What do you want from me? Stop that. You're trying to confuse me. Anyway, I don't want to argue semantics with you. The important thing is no one was hurt. No one who counts. I'll never understand you sentimental types. No! My cufflinks! Help me find them! What are you doing? I told you to sit in the middle. Why do we have to keep going over this? A bit of common courtesy. Is that so much to ask while we're practically chauffeuring you about? Did we not establish that our line of symmetry is over here? And do you not realize that your blithe disregard for this is throwing the geometric spatial harmony in here completely out of kilter? Is that what you want? Is that what you're trying to achieve? Asymmetry? Yes, that's an improvement. Thank you. I saw that. You did that on purpose.
Yeah, always they are crying in my ear.
Why don't you just admit it? You never liked symmetry.
And you, noise, noise.
Did you lie about liking grammar too?
It makes never any sense what you're saying.
You fraud! Your facade is a little asymmetrical. Let me fix that for you.
Yeah, because that's the thing, they argued about how something was done or how to do something. Like, this ain't gonna. They were all about how do we maximize how the family operates. It's like, this isn't the way, this ain't cool, it's just stuff like that, There was a sense of order. And when you have the parents, I mean, especially if you're in a family like 5 generations, I mean, it got to such a thing that we used to refer to my grandparents once on a family as the originals. Funny enough, because they've been around for so long. At the time, we just called them the originals. So it was seeing that kind of pairing was really funny for me, because you look at how Atlas and Mitzi operate, and you look at how Victor and Mordecai operate. You see the generational cutoff as well. You see the similar values that they have, but you also see where they differ as well and how they handle things, because they all handle them very differently, and they even kind of, I wouldn't say one up one another. They're reviewing how they do something after they do it, kind of thing. You're like, yeah, I kind of did that in the spur of the moment. Probably shouldn't have done that. What were you doing? Why'd you do that? Kind of thing. It's like they're analyzing themselves, as well as it's like the whole family move in one direction. They analyzing how they move, when they move, why they move, and it's just really funny to see that low-key dialogue happen in the middle of all that. So they have a sense of self-awareness that I can't help but, weirdly enough, respect in all of that. And characters like Ruben just seem like he, I wouldn't say above it, but he's just like, yeah. He's like, man, be kind of happy about it. It's just, he does, like, I guess the characters that didn't fight an actual battle or war, they're able to have this happier outlook because they never had to, like, go on a whacking spree or anything like that. And so you can tell based off personality, how people carry themselves, what they're about. And that's something that I no longer see anymore in modern days, because people would much rather emulate something, or air quote be influential, than to actually be humble, or just to actually learn or live in life. People are fighting to be the next big influential thing. And that's like practically the antithesis of what we were taught growing up. It's almost like we were taught, like, okay, be the best at what you do, keep your head down, don't make a scene or I'll beat your ass. So we were taught like the antithesis of it. We didn't believe in this thing of like, let's air our dirty laundry out to the world, because we understood that for better or worse, that was a bad look. Now people just walk around embracing it.
Yep.
So that's definitely been a weird thing, people embracing it.
And it's I want to see, definitely want to see more of the series.
Oh hell yeah!
I would like.
I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
I haven't read any of the comics, I'll be honest. So far, my experience has just been the net presence of the Lackadaisy and a bunch of fan voiced stuff. So I won't claim to be an expert on it, but so far it's been fairly decent, which is more than I can say for a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I mean, it's a fairly decent series, and it definitely gives me that, back home kind of vibe, kind of feel to it. And so
definitely
I've been talking for a hot minute. What was I do want to hear from you. Two things, I guess. What character did you like the most, and what parallels did you see in the show that reminded you of real life or your life or something like that?
The characters that I liked the best. Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I kind of like Victor, the one-eyed bartender. I mean, he wants to be left alone. Just leave me alone. I got a job. I live in my own world. And you should smile more, Victor. And I've been told that you should smile more, Craig. And much the same, I bared my teeth too in a creep show smile at someone. Okay, don't smile like that, and then you don't want me to smile.
Had a few more illicit beverages, perhaps.
I suppose I could use one of those too. Victor? Victor, I know it's an adjustment, but the bartender's got to look like someone the patronage can tell their troubles to. More of a confidant, less of a coroner. Try smiling, honey. We'll work on it.
Hello.
We made it, everyone!
Sorry.
We made it!
About the carpet.
JJ!
Sorry.
No, be happy in the way that we want you to be happy. No, he's not doing it right.
What am I feeling? That word is fear. Run away. Stop bothering me. No, and what got me was like everyone showing up with effectively like, you know, what's left of the alcohol stash. It's like you do your best. You've paid your bills. This is what we got left. It may not be much, but it's what we got. You know, replace alcohol with food from trapping or hunting, because back in my youth, I remember when we didn't have anything. I mean, we had to do, you know, like a little extra stuff on the side here and there. My sister at one point had to help out with like trapping and selling of like muskrat hides back in the day. I mean, she didn't like doing it, but it had to be done. Much the same. I mean, you come home with what you got, you know, for the family, and it's just you don't bitch about. Is this all? You know, people who like have that attitude, I want to plant my foot right up their fucking tan track. Pardon my French. It just be thankful for what you got. You know, you got breath, you got life, you got people who love you. Okay, you don't live in like, you know, a $300 million mansion. None of us do. Come on. So you share with people you give a damn about, and you enjoy the company for as long as they're walking around here on planet Earth.
You know, when you say that actually reminds me. You remember that movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, with Charlie sharing that pizza with all the pups?
No, I never saw that movie.
Oh man, I'll put a clip up for that. Yeah, I'll put the clip up right now. But yeah, Charlie went in there and got a pizza, shared to the homeless pups and everything. He sings a song about it, essentially saying, you know, it's all that we've got. You got to share, kind of thing. You know, essentially tell them, you know, it's a song about sharing for the most part. And when we were younger, I mean, yeah, we did hate sharing, you know, with siblings and cousins and stuff. It does get annoying. But I think what a lot of people kind of miss is that there are whole families where you got 5 generations living in one house. And I often know when I meet someone that doesn't understand that, because anyone making fun of someone being close to their family never grew up in a household where like 4 or 5 generations of people in one house. If they did, they would never say something like that, because that would either be normal to them or they know enough about it. And it comes with its pros and cons, you know? I know some people that have never left their hometown. They've never spent a week away from family. So it's almost like a blanket form in a sense, you know. I too feel more comfortable when either you or family or somebody happen to be around, as opposed to someone I don't know. And that's kind of what people tend to forget, because I've seen people act real familiar up in places and be downright disrespectful. And it's just kind of strange to me. I mean, the older I've gotten, like I've seen my parents mellow out. My dad went from a Victor type to more of an Atlas type. My mom went from more of a Mordecai type to more of a Mitzi type. And for me, I went from more of a Rocky type to the other character who I can't quite name. Yeah, I kind of mellowed out a bit, like more of a freckle thing. I really don't like getting hardcore into it because I know the once I get into it, just a few drinks, Rocky come out. So,
Yeah.
zany,
Yeah,
crazy ideas.
Rocky seems the kind of guy you probably want to keep him away from the
Anything.
the demon.
Anything flammable, damn near. But yeah, it's I've since then kind of kept myself reserved on a lot of stuff, and there was another character, I forget his name, because he also plays an instrument just like Rocky. He was in the bar, kind of like with the guy with the hat. Just kind of, it was like a kind of laid back mentality. Man, I can't believe I forgot that dude's name. It'll come to me. It wasn't JJ. It was it was one of the
yeah,
playing the instruments.
Was it Mr. Womp Womp Womp?
He was there when Ivy and them brought back the alcohol. He was on the side, like saying something.
Opioid coffin furnish.
Yeah, It was that dude. He was a minor character, but yeah. Kudos to anybody that knows the guy's name, because it just kind of escapes me at this moment. But yeah, he's sitting on the other hand. Oh, Dorian. Probably Dorian. Yeah, it's about... Yeah. It was Dorian Zib. Yeah, he smokes and he's drinking over there. He plays his instrument. I've kind of taken on that role. I'm not really there unless I have to be.
Look, he's doing more math in his head over there. You still figure you had enough cash on you to cover your expenses? He had cash on him? What cash? On a separate note, I'm headed to the races on my day off, fellas. You wags, oh goodness. I hate everybody. You might as well make the best of it and cool your heels some then. You aren't liable to find a judge to arraign you until after the holiday weekend anyway. You'll get your money back, though. Won't he, boys? Assuming it's on the level, that is. You look down on your luck. Does it show? We're like twins. What I mean is, it's a little suspicious. Someone carrying that much cash around looking like that. Yeah, well, it may not look like it, but I am gainfully employed. Doing what? I provide people with noise from a saxophone. It's my one redeeming quality. Oh? Does the word marigold mean anything to you? You on that payroll by chance? What? No. How'd we jump to the conclusion that I work at a gin joint? Where else does a scruffy go-ahead hornblower find employment around here? Okay, someone else does math in his head too. Anyway, I doubt I'd meet their dress code. Is my lip bleeding again, or am I just that pretty?
Well, shucks. Do you think we wore out a welcome? Come on, laugh! You can't tell me that wasn't funny.
I was counting how many laws we broke.
Well, I know it wasn't lawful per se, but I find the scope of the law can be rather limiting. What's lawful doesn't always coincide with what's right, Freckle. And that was very right.
Oh. Wait, no! I haven't been in any trouble since... I'm a good... I'm supposed to be...
See that? You're making progress already. I'm gonna get you a sandwich. You've earned it.
Okay.
How's the weather, madam? Ah, right, the difficult business of business.
You could certainly be of some help.
Except I'm supposed to be a pillar of the community, baron of industry, upstanding citizen, you know?
He said, bent over his illicit beverage.
Oh, thank goodness, I wasn't sure you were alive.
Zib! Shouldn't you be up on stage playing?
For who? That guy? How about you, Wick? Shall I serenade you personally?
Once I've had a few more illicit beverages, perhaps.
I suppose I could use one of those too.
But yeah, like, I'd definitely say, like, Freckle would definitely be the kind of general role. I just don't like getting into it too much, because I know once I get into it, like, boom, it's gotta... And it's kind of like that, it could be just... I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just a bloodline thing. I mean, we're pretty laid back until we... Like... It's like that Mr. Fantastic Fox thing, like, we're either hot or we're cold. You'll never catch anybody in my family operating on some lukewarm frequency. We either like something or we hate it. We're hot, we're cold. You always know how we feel about something, whether we actually say something or not. And I think that kind of mentality is rather off-putting to a lot of people, especially further west coast you go. It's very off-putting because I've noticed that if a person happens to exist in any place remotely similar to, I'm not going to say it like, places like New York or Cali or something like that, there's an air of fakeness that comes from a lot of people, and I just don't have the time or energy for it. I'm not saying everybody, but I've noticed people operate on this form of fakeness, and I get it. Part of it is protection, but then it's when they go above and beyond that to try to, like, blight you, essentially, or slide blight you. And I think that's why there's such a disconnect. Because for me, it's like what you see is what you get kind of thing. And if I don't like something, I don't like it. Other people's opinions be damned. Until I'm presented with enough evidence to change my general way of thinking on something, I'm not going to. And so I take almost the lazy approach to that particular thing. And yeah, the guy's name was Dory and everything. These characters have some really interesting names, and even some of the side characters, I want to know about them as well. I don't currently have enough information on them because I haven't gotten that far yet. But I can't wait to see how that unfolds. And Lackadaisy almost has that it was a game called Backbone. It almost has that kind of allure to it. They also did a lot of grays and like the Noir type of art style. I've always loved the Noir type of art style, and so Lackadaisy will always be hold a special place in my heart in that regards. And I'm happy that you're here to talk with me about this, because you also grew up some of the time period, and I guess my question is, like, what do you think about today versus back then? And I guess just what are your general thoughts on that, like in regarding the show and how things are today and versus back then and stuff like that?
Well, the thing is, back in the day, here everyone has a nice, I'm not going to say, party-goers utopia or the like. Remember, back in the day, medicine sucked. Addiction was a way of life back then as it is now. It's just different chemicals. There was a very, very big difference between people living in the country and living in the city. By way of, for instance, my mother, when she was born in like 1940, but it wasn't until like the early 50s that her and her family actually got a hold of a place with running water. So I can kind of understand the backwoods feel of certain people. It's like, how can people live like that? Well, that's just the way people lived. Wells farms, living out in the middle of nowhere, toiling constantly. And people went to the city basically looking for one form of work or another, because you can only do so much with farming and whatnot. Admittedly, back in the day, bootlegging was very profitable. Hell, our country was based off bootlegging and rum running. Do your homework, folks. The ATF shouldn't be a bureau, it should be the name of a store. Also, during that time frame, we're a lot dirtier. That's a thing. People, yeah. I mean, hot water was a luxury back in the day. It wouldn't be uncommon for families to share a bath. You know, that's some pretty scummy water when everyone's done with it, but I'm just simply saying, cold water baths or like your woodchuck wipe downs, that was the name of the game back in the day.
Yeah.
Again, just people don't understand life was rough and tough during that time frame. I would never ever want to live in that time frame. I wouldn't.
I mean, that's the thing.
So-
A lot of people overlook the fact that hot water wasn't so readily available back then. Even in the 80s and 90s, if you lived in like an old town or a rural place, I mean, yeah, you got hot water in the houses, but if someone was like doing some off the grid stuff or they lived like deep in the woods, you might not have access to that. I mean, so there's still a few people that probably don't have access to it.
Another reason people drank back in the day, 2 words, clean water, a rarity.
Yep. Not to mention, a lot of people used to drink or get high out of boredom. You go to people used to ask sometimes, oh man, why everybody getting high? Because there ain't no place to be. You go to a rural town that has one mall or one strip or whatever, and there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. You're gonna find a lot of people getting drunk and getting high, for the most part. I don't think it's a lack of education. I think it's more along lack of shit to do.
Also, price of things. Now, when, jump to a different country in a different time frame. We're talking like Georgian England, when alcohol was mass producible and was no longer just the bailiwick of the aristocracy and leisured gentlefolk. 1 in 3 Londoners during that time period, at any time of the day, was falling down drunk.
Oh yeah, a lot of people overlook the impacts of alcohol. I mean, the 3 biggest things, and still manage to be the biggest things today, is alcohol, coffee. I think the third one was what was the third one? I know it ain't marijuana. It was something else. I mean, but yeah, there's 3 things that never lost. I mean, I would say spices or dyes. I mean, but yeah, these things that I'm listing, they are always going to be marketable in any society, whether you're doing terribly, whether you're doing great. These are marketable things, and so that whole prohibition thing, just the mere impact of that affected a lot of additional laws afterwards.
They realized, when I say they, the Gov, realized they were losing a shit ton of money, so what they do, they made it legal and then taxed the shit out of it. Same with tobacco.
And then later marijuana. So
consider that Al Capone, I think it was Al Capone, basically said, it doesn't matter how destitute a person is, a person will spend their last dollar on gambling, booze, or hookers.
Yep.
And what can I say? That was part of the Roaring 20s because, again, we discussed this earlier, the Roaring 20s came out of the Great War when people realized that so many lives are cut short in such an ugly, destructive fashion that, how could this come about in a sane society, a war on this scale? So they decided, we're going to party down. You might as well enjoy life while it's here. And then, after the Roaring 20s, came the Great Depression. So, there you go.
Not to mention, I think a lot of people forget this as well, but throughout most of human history, 30s and 40s was considered old age because nobody really expected you to live beyond that long anyway.
Which was why the original retirement age was 65, because no one was expected to live that long. Thus, this huge government fund that you could live the rest of your days on, Social Security, at age 65, everyone was laughing their asses off right up until people started living that long. So,
and that's part of why we held such a high reverence and respect for the elderly, even if they were kind of off or a little cuckoo. Because if you saw someone around, like when me and Craig were growing up, if you saw somebody that was 60 or 70, even if they were a little off, in the back of your mind, you'd have to wonder, okay, this person must know something, or even though they kind of crazy, what did they do to live this long? They clearly know something that we don't, yet they still, running rackets when they old.
3 older people that stuck in my head in my youth. There was a guy down in a town called Oriskany Falls. And as old as this guy was, he was like 6 days younger than Adam, I swear to God. He repaired watches and clocks. And occasionally we would go down there to buy like candy. It was like your little corner store back in the day. I'd be with my dad. His next door was like a barber shop. But occasionally I'd drop in to see this guy. He'd always have like watches apart, either wrist watches or like pocket watches. He'd always be like cleaning the tiny little. That's the term complications come from. That's the actual term for the gears in a watch. Complications. So this guy, like I say, just old, bald and old and wrinkled and like Coke bottle glasses, and yet he's doing this amazing artisan work. Another old lady, was a friend of mine's mom. She'd survived World War II. She's like missing a couple of fingers on one hand. She told us stories, I swear to God, would turn your hair white.
Damn.
And me and my bro told her, you should write this down. Otherwise, people are going to forget. People will forget this shit. And I don't know if she ever did. I mean, we lost contact with our friend Chet decades ago, and I seriously don't think his parents are still alive. But we're talking straight over old world Polish family. Homemade everything when it hit the table. Let's just say, boys, eat up.
That was like another thing that I've noticed. Like, I'm stuck in constant culture shock, even as old as I am. I should be used to this, because to the people watching, like me and Craig are about 4th or 5th generation, so we're kind of like Charlie and Itchy from all those who have like we have those values. We were raised around them. Like, we remember all of this from like just being kids. Like, I could tell, me and him could tell a lot of people's stories and shit that you would not believe actually happened. You would have had to have been there and seen that shit to know that that was a norm. And so I'm often really surprised, dude. I kid you not. I've had like people younger than me, and even sometimes older than me, try to explain that time period to me. Like imagine someone in their 20s telling you, let me take you back 50 years. Like, motherfucker, I can't even take you back 30. How the hell are you gonna take me back 50 years? And there's some people that there's elements of the past I romanticize, sure, but you have people that never experienced that, romanticizing the negative elements of that. And so the reason I mention this is because you mentioned the food and everything. None of us would ever put our parents, for example, in a nursing home. That's like a non-existent thought for all of us. Like, a lot of other people feel differently about that, but none of us would have ever entertained that thought, because most of the elders in our family, due to their lives, a lot of them been doing physical labor their whole life. And so, I mean, I've encountered people that are 60, 70, you wouldn't know it, they look like 40, 50 because they took good care of themselves. And even the ones that didn't, I don't know if it's the anger or the rage that keep them around, but they get around. Like, damn, they still racking, just getting around.
You're gonna have to kill me before I die. Yes.
They got every damn problem medically imaginable. This person just getting around, flipping people off, cussing them out, and acting like he just turned 30 or 40 or something, despite being 60 or 70. It's just, time has been weirdly good to them for whatever reason. So I think people were a lot stronger back then. And
Yes.
this isn't like a flex or anything, but I think over time we've definitely like values like the appreciated people gone a lot weaker because I'm not ashamed to admit this. Both my mom and dad know how to cook, but mom cooked the vast majority of our meals, and a lot of us prefer, mom's cooking, even grandma's cooking, because I think people over like misuse the term corn fed sometimes. It's not a negative thing. It just really means that, you know, when supper was around, we that's the way it was. We didn't eat until the head of the house ate, aka our dad or our grandfather.
Hmm.
We ate after them. They got their food first because that's like first line of defense for the most part. And so if you're in a family where you got like 10 shit tons of people eating at a table, we knew, we understood that.
Why is Rocky obsessed with pancakes? Because a congenital abnormality allows him to metabolize them rapidly and with extraordinary efficiency.
We're switching back to oatmeal.
Or maybe it's just the syrup.
There you are, sir.
Ah, this is good stuff!
I don't think I'll ever get used to this.
Man, Goku, you sure eat a lot for a dead guy.
You know, that's exactly what King Kai always tells me. But what can I say? I just love to eat.
You're telling me.
Cool. It's chow time.
Gohan! Hey, all right. How did it go, guys?
It was pretty interesting. Trunks beat Mr. Satan with one punch.
Really?
But everyone thinks that he lost the match on purpose just to be a gentleman.
What a guy, huh? He should get an Academy Award for that one.
And just what do you mean by that?
You don't know Krillin. He's always joking like that. Isn't that right? You never know when to stop, do you?
That's right. Now let go, please.
Hey, guys. We ordered for you already. Food for chair. It's really good.
All right. Great. I'm famished. Hey, Dad, we're out of pasta.
Excuse me, more spaghetti, please.
And bring some more egg rolls while you're at it.
Good grief. You Saiyans are like bottomless pits, I swear.
What's a Saiyan?
Krillin, hello!
Oops, oh, I'm sorry, Gohan. I'm just not gonna talk anymore. Yeah, lips are sealed.
Ah, that was incredible! What a feast! Wow-wee, I'm so full! If I have to fight one of you guys, please don't punch me in the gut!
You didn't eat anything. You must be on a diet.
Believe it or not, Gohan, most athletes don't like to stuff themselves before a big match.
Hey, we should go check the draw, see who's fighting who.
Well, if I have to fight Kakarot in the first round, the first thing I'm going to do is punch him in the gut.
Oh man, no mercy.
And as I gotten older, I cook a lot of my own meals and stuff because I simply don't like to eat out as much. I don't really care for fast food. To be honest with you, it's just makes my stomach turn. I like home cooked meals, and so I learned how to just cook my own stuff. Not to mention with tipping culture being so outrageous along with gratuity. That was another thing that kind of ticked me off. And now it's actually kind of funny because the earlier boomers kind of promoted tipping, But then when they got older, I hate this. Well, shit, you kind of fought for it.
Well,
You know,
you know,
now they mad about it.
consequences.
You know, I guess they thought it was like a good idea, but now it's gotten so out of control, and now it's just like quality of service actually went down because you're no longer getting that A service. I mean, I remember when refrigerators were masterwork. Yeah, like I want to get one of them old 1950s refrigerators because to folks listening to this, me and Mike talked about this, and I'm bringing it up again. Them things were made to survive the test of time. Damn. Practically throw a damn grenade at one of them damn things that won't even dent the MF.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like we could, you know, in America we're like we were producing things of high level quality, and that dipped off too.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
so
all about. Well, it was two things. Two things did damage. Now, I'm not going to blame everything on corporations, but I'm also not going to blame everything on unions. Unions were a good idea given the exploitation of the time frame. But like anything else, it becomes a fine institution and it gets took over by scumbags. And unions are not there to help the company thrive. They're there to protect, obviously, workers, ideally. But without a place to do work, if you run the place into the ground, then there's no place to get work. But on the flip side, if you want workers to stay around and do their jobs, treat them well, pay them well for their time, and don't just treat them as like, that cog's burned out, just throw it away and we'll replace it with something else. It's like, yeah. Like I say, a long time ago, you know, it doesn't matter what good you do, you're still gonna step on someone's toes. You know, when I save a company $2.2 million a year and 3 days later I get fired, you know, but there you go. No good deed goes un.
that was one of the things when you had told me that, man, I could definitely believe it because it's like you're told don't do too little but don't do too much, and then you're taught to operate on the bare minimum frequency, and a lot of people also don't think about this, and I'm gonna keep saying, I mean, it's weird that people act like some of this stuff was hundreds of years ago. It was barely a generation ago, some of this other stuff. I mean, there used to be a term called of walking age. And for those of you that don't know what that means, usually when people had farms or you had a business and you had a big family, the kids would normally be walking too. Are they of walking age? Okay, here's a mop. I mean, that's really what it was. And as soon as you were able to walk, you were working.
Hmm? You have so much piss and vinegar, son, you can pick rocks out of that field. Unquote.
And that's the
Yeah, you're
crazy
bored,
part about it.
I
I tell you, I one time saw a video on YouTube where a bunch of bodybuilders tried to have that tug of war contest with a bunch of farm boys, and everyone. I'm like, yeah, I'm betting on the farm boys. I mean, the farm boys won. I mean, even the out of shape ones were still, the supposedly fat ones were out pulling the bodybuilders. That's years of doing the same thing repetitiously. I mean, you're
80
gonna get
pounds,
muscle.
and throw them up into the haymound, or throw them off the wagons to that man there who catches him and then throws him into the haymound area, or you know what I'm saying, just having to tote that shit around. Like I say, shoveling out the stalls, let me tell you something, that stuff weighs a lot. You know, when the gutter cleaner, you are asked to go in there with a shovel, and a fucking wheelbarrow, you know, fill that wheelbarrow up, wheel it down to the end, dump it in the honey wagon, you know, up the ramp into the honey wagon, the spreader, as we call the honey wagon, and Yeah, repeat, repeat, repeat. And that stuff gets heavy double quick.
Yeah, not to mention we had actual mentors back then. I've seen a lot of funny things happen, especially, with the school system and everything. You remember when we had almost an equal amount of male and female teachers? I mean, and like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna flat out say it. The male teachers we had back in the day, and I'm not talking about the shitty ones, I'm talking about the really good ones. I remember every now and then we get some, like, Marine or ex-military kind of guy in there, and they would really go above and beyond to teach you. I had a teacher that was like that, saw actual combat, and when I had him
That was,
for
that was
I'm
my
sorry.
health teacher, Mr. Strickland. God rest him. He died of leukemia, a few years after I had him as a teacher. But he had served as basically for a long time as an ambulance first responder, and he also at the time frame snuck in like your military grade VD movies for us to watch. And let me tell you something, the camera pans, looks like, get something that looks like that Gilligan's Island, camera pans back, everyone wants to go, who wants to throw up, No, that's not Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, the craziest part
Imagine,
about all of it is that these
yeah.
motherfuckers, they really wanted us to learn. They just did it in a violent kind of way, and to this day I laugh about it. They'd yell at they'd yell at you, but it wasn't like in a "I'm gonna hurt you" or "I hate you" kind of way. It was more along the line, "You need to get this shit. It's fucking important."
Yeah.
So I mean,
Understand, because it doesn't give a shit about your feelings. This shit will dissolve your bits off of you and shorten your lifespan greatly.
cause that guy had, you're gonna laugh when I tell you this. He was my history teacher, but he also, you wanna know what he did during the war? Communications, interrogations, and stuff along that line. So this dude knew how to
Oh,
talk to people.
and you couldn't lie to that son of a bitch, that's for certain.
Oh yeah, he catch you in a lie every time. If he knew you were lying, he give you chances to get out of that before he snatch you up. I mean,
Yeah.
this is why I'm kind of surprised. I mean, as we live in the year 2024, to the people listening to this video, this is not a flex. Don't take it as one, but it's very hard to scare people like me and Craig because we grew up in a time period where people, if you were a kid and you said some smart ass shit, somebody would be beating your ass in less than 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Things
you be getting
all
grabbed.
settled on the recess yard. All disputes.
And that's
I
the
got my
thing,
nose
like,
punched times.
Who the hell is that?
What? Huh?
What the?
What is that?
I'm not Doraemon. I'm Kenshiro. I've come to save Yulia from you villains.
Whatever your name is, take this!
Let's get out of here!
Oh, the damn key's missing!
Come on, boys, get in. It's time to go.
Oh, this dude's walked.
Are we sure that this time he's really our teacher?
yeah, and now people, I wouldn't say, like, let me put it this way, people are now too nice in my opinion. That I wish people would be more kind and be nice, because there's a difference between kindness and niceness. Anybody can be nice, but to be kind takes actual concern, it takes actual effort to be genuinely kind. So my teacher, he wasn't a nice person by any stretch of the imagination, but he was kind. I will give them that. Kind of violently kind, but kind nonetheless. But like, and it's kind of funny because you ever notice like me and you grew up to be kind of mellow and stuff, and this is kind of the weird part about some of the Gen Xers and even the older millennials. To Gen Z or anybody that happens to watch this video, the reason we're so mellow is because we witnessed our parents and the people older than us. They were not very patient people on average, and so we didn't want to be like that. And so this is why we're like nice and Gen Z, and everyone, it's okay, man. Just that's where like a lot of hippie stuff came from. Like, it's all right, brother. It's okay, man. You failed today. Just do what you can tomorrow, kind of thing. And so we found different ways to express our emotions, via musically or via hobbies. That's why we hold on so strongly to our hobbies and why we have an attachment toward whatever we're good at, because we weren't given that golden star. We weren't giving that level of praise for virtually anything, even when we earned it. And so I experience constant culture shock to this day behind that, because that's not what I know, if anything. And I think, Mike Tyson said it well, a lot of people just got too comfortable. There's things I never dream of joking about, but a lot of people got too comfortable, and now it's so weird that like the social dynamic is so messed up. You can talk about like it's like ass backwards, You could like if you mention anything about what thing you voting on, or what flag did you choose or whatever, and they're like, Dave, that is personal. That is very, very personal. All right, so I was fucking my wife yesterday. It's like let's talk about something less personal. It's that type of ass backwardness that now exists. Like the thing that's personal isn't personal when it should be, and the thing that isn't personal is made personal, and now it's just like this weird backwards exchange that I can't get with it. So I just kind of, it's like I'm forced to nod and agree even though I don't get it. So I have like weird, like kind of like Jackie Chan moments with people, to where it's not like I have a problem with them, but I'm just trying to get away because I can't relate on that level.
Responsible for your assumption.
You full of shit. You understand that? You full of shit.
Not being able to speak is not the same as not speaking. You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
What the hell did you just say? I like people to talk. Just an easy shit. So I'm the one full of shit.
We both full of shit.
You full of shit. I'ma kick your ass.
Mm-hmm. And so there's that kind of exchange. But I wanted to have you up here because you remember what it was like, and there were some good things. Even with all the bad stuff, there were some good elements that I wish that I hate got diminished. And now it's like, to be honest with you, I honestly feel like Titus or something at this point. Final Fantasy X or something. It's just we ain't in Xanarkin no more.
Yeah.
And so I've been living in Spira for a while, but I do miss Xanarkin. I hate that the OG Xanarkin got destroyed, because that's what I grew up with. That's what I know. That's what I understand. And so I'm forced to kind of do this dream of the faith, hymn of the faith crap to kind of get by, but I don't really like it so far. And I say all this, metaphorically. The only people I even remotely liked were the Albed in that particular thing, because that I understood. The rest of Spira couldn't get with it. Simple as that. Albed are cool, but that's about it. I the only people I'm willing to just kind of cut some slack in that game. But sorry, I was a bit tangent, everyone. Basically what I'm saying is, Lackadaisy at the end of the day, it has that old timey feel. It's very remnant of the past, and I still see small elements of that, but you really do have to go to rural places to find that. And this isn't like a country versus city thing. I think the suburbs are nice. And I think there's nice stuff about the city too. It's good to have the convenience of being able to order stuff. It's good to, I really don't think people take enough advantage of the city. Because you remember like back in the day where when you wanted to meet up with somebody, you knew you were driving about an hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
So, versus being
Not to
like
men-
5 minutes away.
Not to mention plenty of public places to meet and have fun, and particularly if a date falls through, you don't want them to know where you live. Oh, this one's crazy. Damn it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Back in the
Yeah,
day, I remember, pizzerias and, roller rinks. Yes, I'm dating myself. Movie places. When the mall was actually fun and actually had stuff to do other than to buy, I mean, there were things to do. But not anymore. Not anymore.
And now we
So,
got a lot of abandoned malls and stuff like that. I mean, I've been to a few of those abandoned malls and made some interesting when I was younger. I must have been like in my mid-20s when I was doing it. I mean, a few friends, we were just like, there's like some interesting stuff in there. I mean, they could, I don't know why they abandoned in the first place. They could very easily build something new with the existing structure. I never understood that. They
taxation and jewelry.
Yeah.
Pretty much it boils. I mean, you could have the greatest idea, and then the city's going to go, oh, you're going to have to pay us money for your idea. And you're going to have to pay us money to buy these permits and pay for this. And then we get to inspect things and impose some more fines on you. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, not saying things shouldn't be done, for safety purposes. Maybe you want some of those electrical cables covered or at least away from the public, or, maybe you want some padding around some of the corners and edges of things because, children tend to be, klutzy or spastic or, run their heads into shit. But on the flip side, don't get in the way of someone who has a profitable idea that will make jobs and shit like that. Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, we used to actually have things to create jobs, and then for whatever reason, we exported everything, so that kind of sucks.
Yep.
I mean, maybe there'll come a time where we figure out stuff or get it right and everything, but it's it all ties into this because family is the first teacher. It's the first classroom. And now I just see a lot of people got no home training, no manners, no nothing. And this isn't really a rant. I get care less about what people do. I don't want it at my table. And if people take this personal, I'm sorry. I take kind of the Tupac approach to it. Although you may have lost me as a friend, I still wish to see you eat, just not at my table. And some people take that the wrong way. It's not a hate thing. It's just the fact that as I get older, my tribe is small. I mean, I appreciate, those who know me or sub me or like my works or whatever I do in the future. But yeah, it takes me a while to warm up to stuff. Either I'm hot or cold, never in between. If anything, so
I'd rather someone be an asshole to my face. Because, quite frankly, if you have the courage to do that, then you at least have my respect that you had the courage to do it to my face. Of course, I'm going to say some bad words back, but hey, I'm going to do it to your face. And at that point, whatever. You can say and think whatever, as long as if you're, again, to my face. There's nothing I hate more than whisper campaigns and rumor campaigns, and just don't get me going about the whole social media bullshit. That makes me want to squirt blood out of my eyes.
Yeah, that's a whole piece in itself. I mean, I don't know if I told you, but I had a friend that did some crap like that when I was growing up. He'd always be mumbling under his breath, and I even had a teacher try to use his wrist to cover his mouth as he was laughing at me because I guess attempted to embarrass me because I answered a question. And I'm partially a little deaf in one of my ears, so it's irritating when people do that. But now, I mean, it's just it's like people have this step-by-step plan to be as obnoxious as possible or disrespectful as possible, and now you can't do anything because if you go over there and you try to, act in the old school way about it, then all of a sudden they want to get like selective amnesia and act like you harming them when you can clearly, they're acting like you can't hear them. It's like some weird form of I don't really like to use the word gaslighting because it didn't exist when I was growing up. You did that, you got popped right off the bat. So it didn't exist when I was growing up. Gaslighting didn't exist, at least not in my culture environment, because that would have been checked so quickly. We would have had some Bernie Mac like individual check you quickly. If that was a thing, there'd be no confusion about it. If you were upset, you were upset. If you were happy, you were happy. And so I don't like this dual way to be, but unfortunately that's how it is. And so I like watching stuff like Lackadaisy because it reminds me a bit of that. And it's not to say I'm opposed to new ways of doing stuff. I like the nod. It's very appreciative. I mean, at least in that regards, because I know that families aren't perfect. I mean, granted, I get it, because I have people tell me, oh, well, not every family. And that's fine. You've decided you can't deal with family. Go be on your merry way. Don't stay, linger, and try to be that thorn in everybody's side. Just kind of do you, if anything. And so I think that's the problem with people. They get, like, hung up or upset, and then they can't see, the bigger picture. I mean, I told you that one friend I was talking about, we must have been in almost our late 20s, and one day I asked him, why don't you ever help your mom with the groceries? Deadass looks at me and says, we don't all come from a loving family. Some kind of weird swing at me, and I'm like, so that's your reason for not helping get the food that you all partake of? I mean, you're gonna eat some of it, at least you can do is like help bring it in. So, like, nobody had to teach them that. I mean, and it goes far back. I mean, depending on the kind of family somebody was in. I mean, I remember a time where, at the women of the family, they'd be sending, flowers and postcards. They kept like a scrapbook of all the pictures. They knew everybody's name. Most of the guys would forget the kid's name, but the woman would remember, hey, so-and-so has a birthday. Get on the phone, talk to him for 5 minutes, send them a card, send them a little money. They did
kid,
that.
and you're being bumped for all the details. Boy or girl, how big, how much do they weigh, any birthmark. I don't know.
And that's why to this day I always ask people, how you doing? How your kids? How your family? That's just in me to be that way. Even if I don't really care, I say it anyway. Like, have a blessed day and stuff like that, because I was raised to be that way. How your family? How your kid? How your brother? How your sister? What's going on? They okay? It's just, that's just the way we were. And so to see people take this nasty attitude nowadays, it just make me not want to mess with people. Like, what I'm saying is we follow like a code to how we do things, and now I don't deal with anyone that differentiates from, or don't have any values, differentiates from any of that. And like Daisy, they keep their family intact, like to the best of to their ability. I mean, it's that right there is admirable. And we had TV shows, cartoons, in fact, when I was younger, that would promote, togetherness and stuff. And now, we end up with shows that don't make any sense nowadays. It feels like more they're trying to fill a palate than anything else.
I'm sure if you're on the same head meds, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. They show these damn shows, man. It's just you got to be on something to even make sense of them. And I don't know, I just don't really find them enjoyable. I'm getting ready to cancel my damn cable after a while, be honest with you. Don't enjoy nothing on the TV that much anymore. I find myself just watching YouTube videos or buying anime or whatever I could watch. I'd rather watch anime than the news at this point. Too depressing. Don't care to hear it. And at the end of the day, it should be about self-improvement. And I think the ultimate sin that happened is you get people, they can't differentiate their own individuality from the family. they either think that by value of being around the family, I'm losing my individuality, or something like that, when that's something that they should have cultivated a long time anyway, despite being in that space. That's a them problem at the end of the day, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not. Because we were raised well enough, like when I went to college, like nobody managed to pull wool over my eyes that had me believing in any crazy kind of crap. I mean, I'd already had like over 20 years of being around family, so this whole, I learned bad things in college. Okay, you're a weak-minded individual then. That was all it took. My professor, taught me some crap and gave me a bad grade for not believing in his nonsense. That's how they try to get people. They had this damn paper, and people got no skills, but they happy. I saw a South Park episode like that once, where like all the rich people were the maintenance, the maintenance crew, and no one knew how to put anything together.
Mm-hmm.
So they just been ordering stuff. So that's like South Park's pretty good on that, and still manages to be a show that I enjoy watching. Very, very inspirational in itself. But yeah. There's a lot of stuff about Lackadaisy that parallels real life and ties into a lot of things, and yeah, you definitely might want to check out All Dogs Go to Heaven. I might review that at some point. I'm not sure, but yeah, it also reeks of that type of era and stuff, and so we didn't have a lot of the hyphenated emotional stuff when we were growing up. Like either you were down or you weren't kind of thing, and if you weren't, you just went about your business. No one had to wonder where somebody was at or test somebody's sensibilities. You kind of knew what they were about. Not to say shady crap didn't happen, but you knew who was there for you and who wasn't, regardless of what they'd say or joke about. You knew whether someone was serious or not, and so there's that disconnect that really kind of gets me, if anything. And I don't know if it's just me, but it's like a cold loneliness almost, like getting older. I mean, it used to be, if things had stayed the same and we were this age now, it wouldn't bother me as much. But now it's just like, it's like this empty house syndrome almost that kind of quells me and stuff. And so I think a lot of people are going to learn that as they get older, that it's hard to do everything by yourself. It's not easy. And now we got people running around saying, "Oh, don't own, rent." Never thought I'd be alive to hear that one.
Well, yeah.
I know it depends. I mean, I know it depends on the situation and everything, but they're saying like, "Oh, don't buy a house, rent. Don't own your land, rent. It's the landlord's problem." I mean, just some Mickey Mouse kind of crap, and I'm just kind of like, different strokes for different folks, I suppose, but yeah, I mean, we no longer have a medium that's centered on bringing people together. It's no longer like that. What I'm saying is, I guess that unity has been destroyed. That's what I've noticed, and I don't really see any healthy way of bringing any of that back without a bunch of terrible things taking place in the middle of all that, some eye of the storm type of shit. So I'll probably be long gone for any type of thing. I'll be having heavenly bliss, if anything. Pulling a Charlie or something. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other character in Lackadaisy that really stuck out. I mean, there's other characters, folks. We just wanted to highlight some of the main ones. I don't think I too much missed any of them. I mean, for me, Victor's always gonna steal the show. He's awesome. And then there's Rock and everything. I don't think I missed him. I think they have a good, I like everything about the show, and I can't wait to see more episodes. I wish they'd come out faster. And
yeah,
I strongly recommend
it's
been a watch.
Might slow down, so.
Well, yeah, there's that factor as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot. I guess it really hit home for me. That's why there's a lot I had to say about it. I'm very happy to have you here because I don't know why there are people that sometimes don't believe me when I start talking about this stuff. Like, oh, that's not what it was like. That's not what happened. And I'm like, no, that happened a lot. I see people do stuff today that I would have never dreamed of doing or saying. I wouldn't do it now, even though there's no consequence to it. I still wouldn't do it. I just that's just it's just been ingrained in me not to really, go down that road because it leads to trouble. I mean, we were always taught don't bring trouble back to the family. Just kind of do what you can, play steady.
Me and my brother were told early on we are too poor to hire a lawyer, so keep your noses clean.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about it.
So much fun that we had back in the day that would have gotten us on watch lists nowadays.
Yeah, careful them fireworks. Got the fire starters out there today. Put them on the watch list. Starting fires, fireworks, and Piccolo Pete's. And...
What the hell is
Child, this 11 kinds of stupid.
The sudden circus comes to town.
Funny you should say. Fireworks, window caulk, and a hiding place side the road, and a slingshot. So here comes a car, do a quick, you dip it in the gloop stick as we called it, light the fuse, and as the car passes by, bing, stick that firecracker to the quarter panel as the car speeds by, ways down the road. All fun and games. Like, we ended up moving to a different position, and a big old redneck truck with a couple, like 3 or 4 people in it, and a floodlight lit up the area where we just were. Drove around, hid, they parked their truck, and they were waiting for us to do something, Never mind, they just revealed themselves, her. So, my brother, God bless his sense of humor, we had the old school M80s. So he ninja crept his way right through like a lot of the brush and whatnot, right up behind the vehicle. And I mean, we could hear them like basically had they caught us, they'd have worked us over with basically, firewood and tire irons. So basically he gloop sticked the M80 to like the now cool muffler on their truck, and so they got tired. Vroom, fired it up. He lit the fuse as they peeled on out, and he rolled back in the bushes and short ways on. We hear that fucking truck squeal to a halt. And then when it peels out again, let's just say the muffler is no longer muffling. Those are the days.
Yeah, a lot of stuff we did we easily get in trouble for nowadays, but there was a lot of fun, crazy stuff that happened, and I feel bad for Gen Z. You can't even go nowhere no more. You can't I've noticed this about a lot of people nowadays.
Ball fights, or if you lived on a farm, yes, cow cake fights or horse apple fights. You betcha, Scoop one up, and I would whip one of them nasty horse apples right. I'd try to nail you right in the forehead with them. Yes, I had more than a few explode on me as well. But I mean, just the hijinks you do as a kid, BB gun wars, and Oh, some of the April Fool's pranks we used to do on each other. Jesus.
Oh yeah, we used to prank each other hardcore. But, yeah, it's just so some of the stories and crazy stuff that I heard back in the day. But you know, I just feel bad that like we live in this weird time period. It's hard to joke with people. It's hard to talk to them about anything serious nowadays because everyone's just face to the phone. Lesbian.
Everyone's wearing moral diapers. Yeah, can't offend nobody. No, don't raise your voice. Don't disagree. Don't be disagreeable now.
Could be a slippery slope and whatnot, and that's the crazy thing about it. I mean, just it's the sensitivity that I have an issue dealing with. I mean, I get it. Some people are just naturally more sensitive than others, but it's just if I know that something's not offensive, I just let it go. I mean, especially if it ain't at me, it ain't meant. I mean, you gotta look at the context of things as well. People get caught up with like how something is said instead of why it was said, or you know what the overall intent was. If somebody had ill intention, fine, call it out. You know, just, don't be trying to slay dragons that aren't there and trying to shadow box people that didn't even throw a punch in the first place. You know, it's one of those things that I just refuse to. I mean, I've adapted, but I refuse to walk on eggshells to talk to people, and that tends to upset people like a lot. So I just kind of. I mean, people watching. I mean, I'm just being honest about it.
I have no problem with the wokeness. I'm all for marginalized people getting their rights. The thing I have a problem with is the selective outrage. One person does something, they get canceled. Somebody else does the exact same thing, nothing. I like the kind of people that play Michael Jackson songs but won't play R. Kelly. Same crime. One of them just got better songs. I play starting something, it's a party. I play bump and grind, now you an activist. I bumped into my good friend Fred. Here's Fred got a new job at AT&T. Like, hey Fred, how's the job? Like, ooh, I love the job. It's a safe space. I feel seen. I feel heard. There's a lot of diversity. And I'm looking at him like, nigga, it's me. What, you think I'm wearing a wire or some shit? What the fuck you talking about safe space? Nigga, you did 8 years for manslaughter. Ain't nobody safe around you.
The personality doesn't mesh well. That's fine. I went from more introverted to more extroverted once I found hobbies and things that I liked, you know, be it music or writing or something.
RPGing. My big one.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to keep this data alive. You know, I've been doing my level best to keep track of pictures and stuff. I'm not really as good at it. I had to hit up a lot of family members and stuff to try to, you know, get the scrap. But I've taken over that role essentially because it's very important. And a lot of people are not going to notice how important that is until they're old. For me, I just kind of took the opportunity.
One thing I will say about the writer of Lackadaisy is this presupposition toward if she's done her homework and has the imagination to write what she has written up so far, I'm saying she'd be one hell of a Call of Cthulhu DM. Because Call of Cthulhu takes place in the 20s.
Oh, nice.
So I bet she'd probably be a fairly decent Call of Cthulhu DM.
I would love to see that. I mean, I would love to see any work she does after, even if there's an after Lackadaisy kind of thing. So you don't often see artists that can pull that off in that way, and I definitely appreciate it. I mean, I still enjoy anime and a lot of the stuff, but art is definitely going to be a place I frequent as much as possible.
In the end, her work is quite honestly a thing of beauty. Something we can honestly look at, read or watch, and at the end of it say, yes, I was entertained by this. Yes, you know, I liked watching this. Would I watch it again? Yes. Yes, I would. So, 2 thumbs up for the Lackadaisical series.
Yeah, I strongly recommend it. I give it a 9 or 10 out of 10. I liked it a lot. I'm happy to be kind of riding the wave of being on this journey to see where it goes, and I'm definitely gonna be buying some more Lackadaisy stuff. But yeah, I think don't think there's a single character I missed, but yeah, that's the parallels from what I see, and I'm happy to have you here to kind of rap with me about it, and hopefully, folks, we'll find other stuff to talk about as well. Hopefully, this won't be Craig's last time here. We got a lot planned for the future. This is his first time being here, and I'm very ecstatic that you're here, and hopefully we can probably do some more reviews and stuff,
Well, it's good to be here, and good to talk about, things that matter. Things that matter to pop culture, for lack of another word. Let's face it, it's hard finding good entertainment, and this is good entertainment from the ground up.
Yeah, it is very hard to find good entertainment these days. I mean, I struggle. Used to be a time there was so much to watch. To be like an ocean of stuff to watch. Now I struggle to find shows I even like. It's really disheartening in a way. I mean, and even when I do find a decent show, it just doesn't really hit that mark. I mean, I tried watching Invincible, just couldn't get into it. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. I just really couldn't get into it. It just wasn't really my.
If it doesn't blow your skirt up, it doesn't blow your skirt up. Sorry, And that's the end of any movie or any book or anything along those lines. You just ask yourself, did I enjoy it? Was I entertained? And if the answer is not yes, well, there you go. I mean, there are reasons for everything. But again, I mean, my reasons for not being entertained might not be your reasons. But in the end, enjoyment is a personal thing. It doesn't have to be, hooked to like, belief system or the like. I mean, did you enjoy watching it? Yes or no? There you go.
And that's the way it should be, People can have different moral, thoughts about it, but a good show should make people think. Something needs to be made with. I could tell Lackadaisy was made with a certain amount of love, attention to detail, and compassion. The passion is definitely there. Which, with each line, with each scene transition, it's just, you can tell they love what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's very very hammered in.
Yep.
It's really
definitely.
That's really all one can really expect out of life. You have to do what you love to do. Environment and condition and be damned. If you got a dream, you want to create something, you want to draw, you want to write, you want to do whatever. You have to have a passion for that. And when we were growing up, we were heavily pushed. We may have not been pushed in the way that we would like to have been pushed, but it was like, hey, you'll get a decent job, help the family, or not that we weren't just kind of left off out in total limbo.
Well, we were pushed in a way that other people thought was success. By way of, for instance, I was pushed in school to be an engineer. I had really high math, I was decent at physics and chemistry, but the problem is I had no interest in being an engineer. I mean, when I went to college, I flirted with civil engineering and architecture, but then I had just an actual terrible epiphany when we actually were walked through this science center being built on the college campus. It was like months behind and millions of dollars in the hole. It wasn't even near finished. And when we were given the nickel tour, there were so many violations like firewalls, not going all the way to the top. Cross-structure beams were rusted chunks of metal, not good steel. And where we live, because of a thing called frost heave, where water freezes in the ground, ice expands, and it can actually shift, like foundations. The foundations have to be a minimum of 4 inches. Minimum 4 inches thick. And a thickest point was like 2.5 inches. And the terrible epiphany I had is you, Cosmic, could design the best building in the whole goddamn world. Some little chucklefuck is going to come along, cut corners, and ruin your good work. Because they wanted to pocket some extra cash here and there.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I once... Yeah, I saw someone once start busting windows because they didn't pay the dude. Went back in there and started busting windows in the place he just built. It's crazy, but people cut corners too much. I remember, a lot of those old houses and stuff, they were also made to withstand the test of time. I don't know why we don't really build houses like, well, I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat. I know why we don't make houses like that. But the thing about it is building houses, everything we used to pride ourselves in, it's taking a dip. It's like everything's done half-assed now. And that's why it's just, all it takes is that. And next thing you know, you got an electrical problem, then boom, fire hazard, and then, flooding and every other crazy problem you could probably think of regarding that. So I appreciate the good maintenance men out there that keep places functioning and running without. They take a break, we in trouble across the board.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
no shit.
So it's just something to think about. There used to be an appreciation for craft, but now that no longer really exists there, and we got people. I'm just saying, I think it's messed up that now we're in a time period where we have to try twice as hard as our grandfathers to get 1/3 of the credit we would have received.
1/3? You're one generous dude.
Hell, they might get 1%. More like 1 to 0%. I'm trying to be nice about it, but yeah, we're not even getting that, and now like they pretty much altered what it means to be that. Because when I look at all the characters, Lackadaisy, and I see the male characters, female characters, they are acting accordingly. The men are men, the women are women, and that's this time period I grew up when there was no extra deviation from that, and so that's just really the way it was. I mean, not to say that I, remain closed-minded to the world. I mean, I learned enough about the world, but it's just kind of...
Back in the day, what you did with business, and as long as you didn't wear it on your sleeve for everyone to see, it wasn't anyone else's business.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, now we got people running around wearing like full-on BDSM attire.
What's that?
Now we got people running around wearing full-on BDSM attire and junk. I mean, it's gotten kind of crazy. It's like people want all that is in the bedroom out in the open. I'm just like, oh my god, just kind of have a little bit of modesty.
Anything for attention.
I think
Let's
that's
face
really
it.
the big thing.
Once you expose a certain amount, there's what else is there? It's sorry, but sorry, not sorry. Just
that's the thing.
Once you see a naked body, I mean, yippee skippy.
I think people overindulge themselves a little too much, and then it happens. It's like a person, they get that high too many times to where it don't do nothing for them no more, because they already gone like as far as they could possibly go, and now they need a new high, because it could really be replaced with anything. It could be entertainment, it could be food, it could be people. I mean, it's I mean,
Yeah.
we live in a culture that's very, self-indulgent kind of thing, and so I see the good elements from it, but I also see the bad from it as well, because it's like a person. You get one person that likes alcohol and another person that really likes alcohol. Like damn. And
Well,
you gotta tell them,
I saw
chill a
this
bit.
one. I saw this one meme, and it was just so zen-like in its beauty. It basically, you didn't know what was a guy or girl. All it was like a straw going into a nose, but instead of like a pile of cocaine, it was all these little thumbs up symbols on a plate.
For real? Wow.
And
Yeah,
it's just
that's
like
pretty funny.
Yeah, that hits it right on the head. But I need more and more and more and more attention and more likes. Whatever.
That's the thing that makes me laugh. I mean, to the folks watching this, I currently only have 64 subs on YouTube and about 6 or 7 subs on Rumble. And I'm just appreciative of every sub that I get. Whether somebody like the content, dislike the content, thanks for watching anyway. I appreciate you just coming by. And for that, I thank you. I'm not running around doing this, to be Mr. Popular. I just like making these videos. I like talking about life and anime and a bunch of other stuff. I may not make content as frequently as others do, but the content that I do make, I try to make it have a purpose at the very least. I don't want to just be throwing stuff out there for the sake of throwing stuff out there. I try to at least try to hit upon that to some degree, and that's the thing. Everyone I bring up here, I've been knowing them for years and everything like that, and I'm curious to see what the future holds and where a lot of stuff goes. And either if my channel remains as it is, that's fine too. But I definitely appreciate every sub that I get, and be on the lookout for things I have planned in the future. I take inspiration from every music or animation that I see. I take inspiration from that. What I hear, what I see, and stuff like that. And so I always keep my eyes open in that regard. And Lackadaisy was something that I just happened to stumble across. I really wasn't looking for it. And then when I saw this, I didn't think much. I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And I like when I find those, those rare gems. I really like it when I happen to just randomly encounter that. It feels good. So, But yeah, I think we knocked out, a lot of what Lackadaisy is about, or what it gives off vibe-wise. And is there any thing you want to add?
Nah, I think we pretty much covered it all. Other than I'm just looking forward to seeing more of it.
Same. Well, in that case, guess we best be hitting the old dusty trail, folks. And Craig, you're always welcome here anytime. Should there be a topic you want to discuss, or be an anime or movie or something, we can come back and do this again. And yeah,
anytime, my man, anytime.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. And to those watching, like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for the next thing I throw out there. This has been Craig and your boy Cosmic here, just talking about what we see in here. So I guess that'll be all for today, and we wish you well and a happy, blessed day.
Y'all have a better one.
Peace out, everybody.
this marble. Twin sixes. You can fit a goddamn circus in there.
You're not keeping it?
I wish. This one's for your Uncle Atlas's stable. We'll take the train back.
Oh.
You like the train.
I like when it's just you and me.
Victor! Back from the hinterlands? Killer Joe? Hey, Heartstopper.
Ruby Pepper. What happened to New Year's?
I know. It's Effie. She's, we'll talk later. Atlas? Now take a look at this prize. You can get her up to 70, hell.
Oh, it's you. Joe.
Mordecai.
You're the bookkeeper for the cafe?
Yes.
What happened to you?
No,
Did you hurt
that's
yourself?
none of your concern.
Is it broken? Can I see it?
You are entirely too close.
What do you need the gun for if you're just adding numbers?
I subtract numbers too.
What does that mean?
Oh no, it's precocious.
Ivy, hon, I'm heading by the cafe. You want to come have a soda pop?
Huh? Oh, maybe later. I'm talking to this guy. Heck? What you doing?
Work.
What kind of work?
Car work.
Looks real solid. Good job. Why are you all so clammed up? None of you talk. Like Mordecai with that busted arm. It's suspicious.
He fell down some stairs. He is a little, stupid.
Stupid?
We told him not to roller skate in the house.
He roller skates?
Not very well.
Did you lose your eye in the war?
No. Bad time with ice cream scoop.
No!
It's malfunctioned.
You're a bad liar. Really bad. I could teach you.
How to ice cream scoop?
No, how to lie. Your jokes are bad too. Want to hear a good joke? There was a boy who ran to his ma shouting, "Mama, there's a couple of holes in my pants."
No, you have to go. It's dangerous here.
What's dangerous?
Sharp, heavy things. Tools.
Boys, over here where the light's good. Miss Ivy, sweetheart, you stand right in front here. Victor, come on.
You're robbers or gangsters or something? Well, I won't rat on ya. If you give me a quarter.
Now who is gangster?
Itchy, do we detect the look of surprise here?
Hey, boss! Maybe we should go out and come back in again.
Charlie? Ain't you supposed to be on death row?
No, I ain't supposed to be on death row.
Hey, I got him out.
Things have changed, Charlie, since you've been gone. Life hasn't been no piece of cake.
Clayface ain't been treating us too good.
Things are tough, but we carry on.
Could you spare a couple of bones for old time's sake?
Why settle for a couple of bones when you can have the whole bake?
Hey, Charlie! Charlie, look! You hit the jackpot! Attaboy, Charlie! I'm proud of you! Charlie, tell him!
Oh, you can't keep a good dog down.
No, sir.
No, you can't keep a good dog down. I've seen pain and hurt.
That's right.
I've eaten dirt.
That's true.
It's hard to buy, but even I've been jilted by a skirt.
He lied.
Look, pal, I'm still around. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog down.
You can't keep a good dog down.
No, you can't.
No, you can't keep a good dog down.
I've been bought and sold.
He's been warm and cold.
But 10 to 1, I'll still be running rackets when I'm old.
Not in some cage in the city pound. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog. Can't keep a good. I say you can't keep a good dog down. In him's the luck of the Irish.
The pride of the German.
Even a bit of Siam.
Siam? You see the calm of the English.
The charm of the Spanish.
A pedigree certainly ain't what I am. So call me a mixed-up pup.
You're a mixed-up pup.
But the only way this pup knows is up.
Okay, boys, come on. Help me get him. You get this thing. Lift him up. Come on. Get your hand, man. Up, up, up. Come on. You can't keep a good dog down. Wow, 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 wow. You can't keep a good dog down. Wow, 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 wow. He's this fat and thin.
I've outbeen in.
He tried a life of virtue,
but prefer a life of sin.
So tonight, man, we own this town.
I've no hunger, I've no thirst. Lived the best and seen the worst. But the only way I know to finish is to finish first.
So watch out when you hear this sound. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog. No, you can't keep a good dog. Say you can't keep a good dog. No, you can't.